My loves, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Maverick Baking and welcome to another chocolate review. Today we're talking about perhaps one of the most viral chocolate products of the last few years. And not necessarily viral because of its good quality or because of its groundbreaking ingredients or flavors, but because it's got mrbeast's name on the front of it. Need I add more? Yes, today, about 2 years after everyone else, we are finally getting our teeth stuck into and talking about Feastables chocolate from the ever-present, on YouTube at least, mrbeast. Today I'm going to be tasting 3 of these chocolate bars to let you know whether they actually are worth all of the very, very expensive hype that's been brought up all around them, and whether they're any good, really. We're going to be trying the original chocolate, which is dark, I think. We're going to be trying the kind of classic milk chocolate and one of the kind of fan favorites, the These Nuts peanut butter filled milk chocolate. I'm going to be honest, I'm not expecting a huge amount from the flavor, but I'm also very ready to be proven wrong. We're going to be starting with the original chocolate from Feastables. Now, this is a dark chocolate made with cane sugar, cocoa butter, cocoa mass or chocolate liquor, as it appears to be written here, and an emulsifier. It's a 54% cocoa, so nothing particularly dark, and it does pride itself on only having 4 ingredients, which honestly, I've seen worse. I will admit there has been a little bit of damage in this bar arriving here in Italy, but let's see what we have inside. So we have the word devour written here and some nice kind of squiggly lines. Obviously, I'm not going to say too much about the presentation of the bar because, as I said, the Italian Postal Service has done a number on it. It doesn't smell particularly dark or that strong, probably because it isn't. But we do have a decent snap. The appearance is nothing to complain about. Let's see how it tastes. I'll be honest, it's one of the most unremarkable things I think I've ever eaten. It's roughly 50% sugar, and you can tell. It tastes of almost nothing. It tastes like advent calendar chocolate or like cheap Easter egg chocolate. The chocolate lollipops you buy for kids. It's a concept, it's an idea of chocolate, and that's about it. It's not particularly smooth, it's not particularly creamy. There's an underlying and undeniable kind of chalkiness because of the amount of sugar in there. Though the snap was good, the appearance is nothing too bad, and the fact it's not unpleasant to eat. I could go my entire life without ever tasting this again and I would feel absolutely nothing. And I feel like they've almost brought that upon themselves, to be honest. Calling something original chocolate suggests that it's the baseline that you're going to make actually interesting things from. There's nothing selling this to me whatsoever on the front, and it feels exactly the same when I put it in my mouth. I feel like I'm expecting something to happen and it doesn't. Whether you chew it, whether you melt it, nothing. It's just It's a shame, but it's not entirely surprising. I hope the other bars have had a little bit more effort put into them because this is Make a proper dark chocolate or just make the milk chocolate. Don't do whatever this is. It's an absolute 2 out of 5 for me. Shall we move on to hopefully the somewhat more convincing milk chocolate? So this is made with grass-fed milk, but all of the other ingredients appear to be exactly the same as the previous bar, being cane sugar as the premium kind of ingredient, which isn't rare for milk chocolate, but it's also not usually a good sign in terms of flavor, followed by cocoa butter, cocoa mass, or chocolate liquor, milk, and vanilla powder. So no emulsifier in this one, probably because the milk will do the job. And the vanilla powder is probably to hide whatever taste was going on in that previous bar, let's be real. So let's open this one up and see whether it's worth the hype. So again, as this is just a kind of straight up chocolate bar, we got a slightly better piece off of this one, thanks Poste Italiane. And we have the word devour written there on the bottom again. It doesn't smell really like anything, which does occasionally happen with like big chocolate brands like Nestle. Their chocolate doesn't actually really have a smell. Anyway, very good snap to it, I'll give them that. Let's see how it tastes though. While still nothing mind-blowing, this one is at least actually pleasant to eat. It's milky, it's creamy. The cocoa and chocolate flavor is almost identical to the one before, being but the addition of the milk, the addition of the vanilla at least rounds out to taste like something. You know you're eating milk chocolate, even if it tastes like very, very generic Nestle style chocolate, like just absolute baseline entry-level milk chocolate is what we have going on here. However, it's at least quite nice on the palate. If someone gave you a piece of this, you wouldn't complain. Again, it tastes like something you would take out of an advent calendar, out of a children's chocolate box. it tastes like the coating of something almost, do you know what I mean? It doesn't taste like a bar that you would happily buy and eat 60 grams of, personally speaking. And that's not because it's not, you know, the highest quality, the finest of fine dining. It's just not that great. You know, if you were to compare this with the flavor of Cadbury, of Novi, of Kinder, of Mars chocolate, it doesn't even stand up well to that. And it's also nowhere near as cheap as that. So it's fine. It's better than the first one. Isn't something I would recommend you rush out to buy unless you're a huge fan of tasting every kind of milk chocolate possible, or a huge fan of Mr. Beast, or a huge fan of the mediocre. No, it's a 3 out of 5. Shall we move on to the one I have the highest hopes for? The one that the internet has told me is the best one. From this one, you can expect milk chocolate with peanut butter. From the image on the front, it looks like it's going to be filled rather than just kind of flavored. Sugar, as in cane sugar, again, cocoa butter, cocoa mass, milk, 9.4% peanuts, some salt, and some vanilla powder. I'm not expecting this to be life-changing chocolate in itself. Hopefully, a little addition of salt, that 9.4% peanuts, could make all the difference. Getting into it again, the design is the same, and the filling is barely visible, really. We have the same kind of devour thing on the front here, which I feel like works for the standard bars, but is a little bit underwhelming if that's just the design of every bar. Could have put a bit more effort into that, personally speaking. With this one, we still do have a good snap, despite the fact it is filled. It looks like instead of being like an actual separate filling, it's almost like we have a layer of a peanut butter chocolate in there. Unlike, for example, a Reese's cup where the peanut is a separate thing, it's like they've kind of made a chocolate bar within a chocolate bar. But let's see whether this one is any better than its predecessors. It's the most convincing of the three, even if it took me finishing the mouthful to actually believe that. Upon biting in, the peanut flavor is a little bit jarring. It's the kind of peanut flavor you find in a satay sauce or some kind of savory peanut flavor. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't taste like the kind of sweeter peanut flavor you might be used to from, say, a Reese's cup or another kind of Reese's product, even a Snickers, a Lion bar, anything that has those peanuts in it with the chocolate. So to begin with, it's a little bit kind of because the chocolate has no flavor. So the first thing you just taste is peanuts and sugar. It's giving stir fry. But once the chocolate kind of then starts to melt and you get a bit more of that sweetness, you start to taste the vanilla, it comes together to be a pretty decent mouthful. You know, it's, again, not wow, and certainly no more impressive than other brands on the market right now. What keeps striking me is that this was very obviously made for a US market. When you head to the website, all of the places that they are stocked are mostly American chain stores, supermarkets, you know, specialist stores like that. It's not something that's branching particularly far out into the rest of the world. And on that front, the whole thing makes sense. What do I mean by that? It sounds mean. It is a bit mean. But for the same reason that, for example, Don Mio pasta sauce that's sold like wildfire in the UK would not sell very well in Italy. Why? Because the standards are a bit different, you know? For the same reason that artisanal French butter probably wouldn't sell very well in Wales, as, you know, the standards are a bit different. Going into tasting these bars with a kind of European palate and expecting the things that we tend to expect from even the most affordable of chocolate here versus the same price range in the US it's a very different discussion, you know? And by that, I don't mean that it tastes bad, because it doesn't taste bad. It just tastes very, very, very middle of the road. Is this the best of the three? Yeah. But it's still a 3 out of 5. There is nothing that would encourage me to pick this up again that I've seen from either the packaging, the branding, the flavor, the texture. It's fine. Am I surprised? No. Am I a little bit disappointed though? Yeah, honestly. You know, with the amount of potential that this could have had, whether it was in terms of sending a message, making something innovative, anything like that, and it's kind of, it's missed that. To me, it hasn't even hit the basics. You know, if they'd come out absolutely swinging, making, you know, the best tasting, best textured, or, you know, most ethical chocolate possible, or even the coolest looking chocolate possible with, you know, different flavors, different ingredients, combinations we'd never seen before, something innovative in the same way that Mr. Beast is innovative. You know, this guy has taken the internet by the balls and run with it. From that, I would have expected a product that was somewhat similar, but in fact, it's very, Do let me know if you guys have seen or tasted any of these bars, what you thought, or if you haven't, do let me know which one you would grab first. There's only one that makes sense to grab, but I'm afraid that is all I have time for today, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you for the next one.